Welcome to our our Sunday live stream, our pop culture live stream. I have to apologize. I am 10 minutes late. I am not just working on color people time. I had some really good reasons to be late. One, I was finishing up the Braun Strowman Smart Tears video, which I just literally just finished recording right before I pushed live on this. Second, I lost my notes to Naruto. I had 5 pages of notes. Now I only have one, which is the last part of the series. So I won't be able to go through the entire end part that I wanted to because I don't have my notes, but I will be trying to go through them as best I can through my memory. We're also, so that's going to be one of the things we're going to do. We're going to do the Naruto finish. We're going to unbox the NXT 2.0 Panini cards. We're going to do this while I talk about Youmacon 2022, where I went and spent my Saturday, which was so much fun. So I'm going to talk about Youmacon while I unbox these cards. Then when I turn my camera off, we're going to talk about Naruto. Then after that, we're going to talk about maybe catch up on Inuyasha, where I am on Inuyasha. Then we're going to do Battle of the SuperSons, the DC animated film, which I watched what was this, a couple of days ago. I finally sat down and watched Battle of the SuperSons. We're gonna talk about that. And since now that Naruto is over, we have to find another anime to go through. I want you guys to give me some suggestions, and then whichever has the most suggestions, we're going to put it to a poll, and then at that point we'll go from there. I'm pretty sure Bleach is going to end up being the winner, but I want to give some other people opportunities to give some options too. It's just that Bleach, like Naruto, is one of those things that's anime fans try to really push on you. Is Bleach and Naruto. I buckled and watched Naruto because I was interested in Naruto. Bleach, but first let's talk about Youmacon 2022 while I unbox these cards. So I went to Youmacon 2022. It was at what they call Huntington Place on what I call Kobo Arena. It was very fun. I had a blast there. It cost about $50 for a Saturday pass. It was tremendous. Before we got started, it was me and my ex-girlfriend who I still hang out with. We went to lunch first because I was in line for, I don't know, what was this? I got there at 10:30 in the morning. I didn't actually be able to get our badges until 12 o'clock. So I was there for an hour and a half in line. That's the most miserable part of the entire Youmacon experience, is having to get in line and wait. And like I had actually pre-purchased our tickets. And even though I pre-purchased the fucking tickets, it still took me an hour and a half to get through the fucking. It was so stupid. Like, what is really the purpose of pre-buying the tickets if I still have to wait an hour and a half? That was so frustrating. I was fucking starving afterwards. So we got our tickets. We then immediately went to the Sweetwater Tavern, which I hadn't been to since, even though I live in the city, I don't go to these restaurants that often. I hadn't been to the Sweetwater Tavern since 2006 or something like that. So it's been a good 16 years since I've been to the Sweetwater Tavern. So it was fun to be able to go there and have some nice wings. I had some macaroni and cheese and some what was this? Was it collard greens? I think they served with it. I think that's what they served with it. It's macaroni and cheese and some collard greens. So I had a big lunch. Also, I don't usually drink, but she insisted that I drink, so we were drinking tequila, and we was walking around downtown Detroit. After we went to Sweetwater Tavern, we went to the Grand Trunk. We had another drink. This time I think it was more tequila. It was Terramana, actually. So I had some of the Rocks drink. I had some Terramana. It wasn't too bad. It was mixed with cranberry and lemonade, so It wasn't too bad. She had me drinking girly drinks. You know, I would have ordered a rum and coke if I, but she wanted she wanted to pick my drinks, so I let her pick my drinks. So after we had lunch, we went to the Sweetwater Tavern. We walked around downtown a little bit. We went back to the convention center. There was a lot of course, there's plenty of cosplayers. Like, but it's such a interesting thing to be around those kinds of people all day. And I remember they were having a conversation. It was some kids. They were, well, one kid. He was in the bathroom. He was trying to talk to somebody about Pokemon. And so he walks up to the guy and he's like, because the guy's got a Pokemon like on his backpack or something like that. So the guy's like, "Oh, hey, is that your favorite Pokemon?" And the other guy was like, "Well, that he's it's certainly in my top five. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but he was certainly in my top five." And then the other guy is trying to tell him what his favorite Pokemon are, and the other guy just walks away. And I just looked, I'm just looking like, wow. It was the funniest shit. It's like, it's so weird how nerds who don't have a lot of friends, they get together, try to talk to each other, but they're all so socially awkward that it doesn't work out. And it's incredibly scary how that turns out. That, you know, nerds just can't get along. Even when they're together, they can't really get along. This guy just want to talk about Pokemon, and this other guy just couldn't handle it. He couldn't take it. He had to he had to walk away from him. But it was so much fun though. Like the hygiene issue was of course an issue. I mean, it's just even though they put it on the website that you need to wash your ass, you know, underwear, wash everything, your clothes, everything. If you're wearing this costume 2 or 3 times, you might need to wash it first. But I mean, what can we say really? There's not much to be said. It's just poor hygiene. Oh, we got a Triple H card here. Okay, nice little Triple H here. Put him off to the side. Who is this? I'm getting a lot of NXT UK guys. Flash Morgan Webster. Most boring Zoe Stark. I don't know, man. I thought that nerds would be able to get along because I mean I've been to several Youmacons. Usually you see nerds that get in a group and they do nerdy shit, but people with similar interests usually gravitate to each other, like athletes and people who are into sports. They don't have a problem, you know, sitting around talking about the Lions or the Pistons or anything. Like they don't need, it don't take much to get, you know, sports fans to like each other and to talk to one another. But when it comes to like nerds, you can be cosplaying the same shit and just have the most awkward conversation. And that's really what I like to do. Because I'm not a cosplayer, but I like to be around that kind of stuff. And I like to watch, I like to people watch. So watching these people who are very, very, very nerdy and very, very awkward, just, it was the strangest thing. It was so funny. It was like, that's part of the fun, is how awkward people try to be sociable at the same time as they share their love in something that they like as much as everybody else. It's very weird. But I didn't see a lot of Star Wars. Usually I see a lot of Star Wars at Youmacon, even though it's supposed to be for manga and anime. I still end up seeing a lot of Star Wars, but I didn't see a lot of Star Wars. Do it get political sometimes? Not really. I've never. Well, I don't really see a lot of political stuff at Youmacon. It's just basically, oh, it's a nice little Rhea Ripley here. A Rhea Ripley NXT card. This is not bad. Put this one off to the side over here. Shinsuke Nakamura NXT card. Yeah, not bad. But I never really see it get political. It's mostly just nerds having a ton of fun, eating snacks, playing music very loud. My ex-girlfriend, who we still hang out, She was very into the amount of black people she saw cosplaying and stuff like that, which I thought was interesting too. A lot of it was, and it's very true that when it comes to black people, it's Naruto and Dragon Ball, and that's kind of like the bulk of it. Like you might like we saw like a patch of black dudes who were doing like Bleach, but for the most part, when it comes to black people, it's Naruto and fucking Dragon Ball. Like almost every black person I saw was either in an Akatsuki jacket or they was wearing an orange gi or something like that. You know, it was like it was crazy the amount of people I saw. There's a like I'm thinking, and I may be wrong on this, but just from my experience, the first time I went to Youmacon, the overwhelming amount of people were doing Harley Quinn. It was an abundance of people doing. It was grown men dressed like Harley Quinn. The second time I went to Youmacon, it was an overwhelming amount of Attack on Titan. No, that was the third time was Attack on Titan. The second time was Full Metal Alchemist. There was a lot of people doing Full Metal Alchemist at that time. A lot of Ed and Al's. A lot of I forget the name of the Ed and Al's teacher. They were doing her. They were doing the homunculi. It was great. I love the Full Metal Alchemist stuff. And then that sort of died out. Then it was Attack on Titan. And I saw so many people doing Attack on Titan. What was this? Maybe 2018, 2019? Attack on Titan was amazing in terms of how many people that were doing it. But it's been nothing but Naruto and Dragon Ball ever since. You know, the Akatsuki is probably the most. I think that if they were to look at a list of what outfits make the most money, I would have guessed it's the Akatsuki jackets. I mean, those things, I saw those things literally everywhere. You know, the Akatsuki jackets have got to be the most popular piece of anime stuff next to probably Saiyan outfits, Saiyan jumpsuits, and maybe Goku's gi, but that would be it. It would be the Akatsuki jackets. And the leaf headbands. Like I wanted to get a headband because I don't really have too much anime shit. I wanted to get a headband. I wanted to get the village hidden in the clouds. That's the one I wanted to get, but they only had sand, leaf, and the mist with the line through it. So they didn't even have a village hidden in the clouds joint, or I would have gotten it because I had to represent. But it was really, it was great. But I was shocked about how much Naruto there still is, despite the fact that this show's been over for a long time. But usually, I mean, you could look at Attack on Titan and say Attack on Titan was making a lot of money at the time. So it made sense for it to be the top most cosplayed thing. But that wasn't always true for My Hero Academia. Like when I went to Youmacon, maybe I think 2020 was canceled. So then probably even 2019. My Hero Academia was still big. But I didn't see a lot of My Hero Academia cosplay. I did see some people do Midnight, and I seen people do Momo. Yarozu, however her name is. But that's usually like the 5 o'clock hour when everybody starts coming out with showing all the skin. When you start seeing stuff like that. And plus, it's like a lot of it is school uniforms, girls in school uniforms. But that's about it. I saw a lot of Sailor Moon this year too. Quite a few Sailor Moons, but it was kind of together. So I guess it would have been like a Sailor troop. One of them was supposed to be Moon, one was supposed to be Jupiter, but I couldn't tell the difference because I don't know them. But that was fun. But I did see a hell of a lot of Naruto this year. A lot of Naruto. Chainsaw Man was probably the second one that I saw the most of. And it was literally Chainsaw Man, not characters from Chainsaw Man. But guys with literally like chainsaws on their head and stuff. So that was badass. I saw some really cool Chainsaw Man joints. The sort of broken Chainsaw Man, I forgot what they called it in the manga, but when he has like 3 arms or he got 4 arms or something like that, it's chainsaws all over it. Back when I hate to spoil it, but matter of fact, I'm not going to. When a traumatic event happens that made Denji fully go into Chainsaw Man mode, Um, that one, I've seen people cosplay that, and I thought it was pretty fucking cool, you know. But Chainsaw Man was pretty, yeah, Yarozu. I just call her Momo. I just cannot remember that fucking name for anything in the world. I cannot remember that fucking name for anything in the world. It's not going to work for me. But yeah, Chainsaw Man was pretty big this year. There was a lot of dingy, but it was basically just the chainsaw heads, and people was putting chainsaw heads on everything. So that was pretty fucking cool. So I really enjoyed that. Oh yeah, in action, Santos Escobar here, pretty sweet. Was this Andy Hartwell, J.C. Jane? So I get it that you would have whatever the most popular manga is at the time would get the most the most cosplay, whichever one's the most mainstream. But I've seen a lot of Mario and Luigi, which I'm always very very proud to see Mario and Luigi pop up somewhere with them being cosplayed. It was very weird that she was like, "Oh yeah, we need to wear Mario. We need to do Mario and Luigi." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Mario and Luigi are brothers. Like, I am not about to hang out with some chick that I, slip the salami to, and we Mario and Luigi. That's gross. Like that's some really gross shit." Yeah, yeah, she was really good. Look at that. Oh baby, Angelo Dawkins. I'm pretty sure I got Angelo Dawkins, but I don't have an NXT card with Angelo Dawkins. Ah, another Shinsuke Nakamura. Got the title. This is a nice one. I like this. And this is Mandy Rose. Nice. I like this one too. Super Crooks. I watched Super Crooks. I didn't really like it though. I watched it all the way through. I really didn't like it. I saw the trailer for the. Did I see the original Super Mario movies? Yeah, the really really bad one. That movie sucked ass. That's my review of Super Mario. It was like the mid '90s. It sucked. It sucked hard. It sucked really really bad. But we ended up having dinner at about 5 o'clock at what was this? Loco's Grill. So I had chalupas, which was like this boat of meat, and I really wasn't expecting that, but that joint split my wig. That joint split my wig. I was like, oh baby. I was like, oh boy, that boy was heavy. I didn't drink at the grill though. I didn't drink there. She left after that, and I went back to the marketplace. I was trying to find. I wanted to buy some manga. It had a nice little selection, but they were overpriced. I think that manga at the anime conventions are definitely overpriced. Like they were selling like basic Naruto shit. Like you would think with all of as much Naruto and Dragon Ball that is in circulation, that those books will be cheaper. But no, they're still expensive. Like it's still expensive to buy Dragon Ball, even though we all know that Dragon Ball you can get that literally from anywhere. Why you would sell it above market rates was just it's kind of silly to me. Yeah, it's just kind of dumb. Yeah, it's just kind of dumb. I can't read shit online. I'll never finish anything if I have to read it online. I love Tower of God, but reading it online is an absolute pain in the ass. It's just an absolute pain in the ass. I'm so far behind on Tower of God, mainly because I tried to pirate it and watch and read it online. I'll have spurts where I don't read it for like 2 months because I'm reading it online. But if I have it on book form, at least I can just walk around. Like I still have like a stack of things I haven't read yet before I went and bought some more stuff. I still had a stack of things I haven't read yet. And I always look at that stack. And then when I finish one thing, I'll just go through another one. You don't have that option if you pirate it. And then plus, the waiting for the weekly drops or whatever, I can't do it. Like I tried pirating comics and I was able to tear through a lot of that stuff. Like I read like some of the stuff I'm gonna talk about tonight was stuff that I read through pirating, like Secret Wars 2015. I read that through pirating. But I don't like pirating or reading shit online. If I and to be quite honest, it's a good little barrier for me because I don't want to give energy to something I don't really care that much about. Like I care if I actually spent money on it, I will actually care about it. Stevie Turner, I don't think she got fired. I think that when they released a lot of talent, I think she's still around, but I don't know where she is. Yes, I've seen Black Adam. I did a movie review for Black Adam. It was maybe 2 weeks ago. All right, Johnny Saint. This is not bad. James Drake of the Grizzly Young Veterans. So I was definitely disappointed at how much money they wanted for the manga. So I didn't really get that much. I only got one manga, and I scooped up the 4 for $20 when it comes to the anime, to the American comics. I was going to buy the Shuri book anyway, the Shuri Deadliest of the Species. I was going to buy that book anyway. I was going to buy it from Amazon, but thankfully I was able to get it for at the most $6 from, because 4 for $20 is what, 5? Yeah, it's $5. So it wasn't too bad. Got a Carmelo Hayes. Hell yeah, this rules right here, baby. Yeah, it makes for a better reading experience to have it in your hands too, and you can take it everywhere you go. I mean, it does have a problem with storing all of this shit, because now I'm looking into buying a bookcase. I'm gonna get like a big spiral bookcase and see what, because I do need to put this stuff somewhere. But that's also again a good barrier for me, because now I don't spend money on something I'm not going to read or something I'm not going to finish, which always means I end up getting into manga right near the end. Like Hell's Paradise, like I started buying that, and I'm having a hell of a time finding 2 through 12, 2 through 13. Like I can find volume 13, which is the final volume. I can find that, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm just having a hell of a time finding it because it's already over. But usually that's the only way I can get into it, because sometimes you'll have a series and it's good, but it's canceled. You know, so this is a waste of time right here. It's Ashton Smith. This sucks right here. Look how plain this guy looks. Do you think he passes the airport test? No. Jack Stars. They must have just called this the NXT UK box set, because that's all this fucking is. It's a Drew McIntyre. It's a Drew McIntyre. That was an NXT champion. We got our first double of the list, which is the Sean Samuels, our first double. Put that off to the side. We got a second Carmelo Hayes. Not bad. Not bad at all. When it comes to buying things at Youmacon, the big plushies and stuff like that are very popular. I see so many people buy plushies and shit like that. You know, it's a fun little experience, man. I definitely think if you have an opportunity to go to a convention, you should go. You know, you should definitely go to a convention if you can. It's a good experience. I think I got all of Diamond Mine. And just these 2 packs, I got both of Creed Brothers, Roderick Strong, and Ivy Nile, I think. So I got all of Diamond Mine. And I got 2/3 of Toxic Attraction. So I definitely think people should go to a convention. It's fun. It's just a fun atmosphere, you know. And you never know who you'll run into there, you know, what these people might be. Yeah, you should definitely go to a convention. Even if you're not that interested in it, you should go, because the people watching is top tier people watching stuff, man. You never know what the hell you're going to see in these places, man. I'm telling you, You never know what you're going to see in these places. I was the marketplace closed at 8. That's when I left because by that time it was dark and it was about to start raining. Um, but the tickets were good until 9 the next morning, so they kind of incentivized people to hang around all night, you know. But we also went to the tabletop gaming thing, which was at the Renaissance Center. We weren't in there very long because a lot of those people were into uh, Dungeons and Dragons, and I never played Dungeons and Dragons. But the point was for people to make friends, you know, for you to go and buy a game or Monopoly, Uno, or something like that. Just sit at a table and just invite other people to play. Um, and yeah, we see how that went. So I got 3 of the 4 members on the Galo del Fantasma. You only want to mention is Electra Lopez. Any baddies? Oh, there was hella bad bitches in there, man. Hella bad bitches in there. Most of them were dressed up and, you know, that attention seeking stuff. Man, I'm talking titties out. Especially the later it got. The later it got, I mean, I told you guys before, the later it gets in these fucking conventions, the better. You know, the later it gets, the better. But man, but it was like 10 o'clock in the morning when you see chicks in heels, you know, and booty all banging all out of the dress, and it was great. It was great in the morning, but it got really real dope in the afternoon, man. It was like, boy, by nighttime, I was like, holy shit. I'm talking holy shit. I'm talking chicks wearing little to nothing. Little to nothing. Now, I didn't see any kind of kooky shit when I was there like I did last time. But I did see some chicks buying like chokers and bustiers, because you could buy that stuff from the marketplace. And my pants, you think I'm you think I'm Tony Atlas. I'm about to pay this chick to step on my face. Stand on me, please. Step on me, please. No, I didn't do that at all. Tony Atlas freak shit. They have gear, like they have like jackets, and I bought my girl some ears, like she liked the furry ears and the furry tail. She liked that. She wanted some paws too, but she changed her mind at the last minute and didn't get them, and then later wished that she had gotten them. But she liked those joints. She liked the cat ears and the cat paws and stuff like that. But like of course they had T-shirts and stuff like that. Yeah, they definitely sell T-shirts and that kind of stuff. Is this Ricochet? Yeah, it's Ricochet. They definitely sell T-shirts and gear like that. But again, yeah, oh yeah, the furries. Boy, there were so many furries. For Christ, let me tell you about the furries. For starters, I got Mustache Mountain. That's great. Let me tell you about the furries, man. So we we were walking around in the marketplace, and we see the furry jumpsuits. We don't. I don't know too much about the furries, man, but they don't. Apparently, when they're at the convention, this is an anime convention, Kenny too. They don't sell just the head or just the body or just the feet or something like that. You have to buy the entire thing, and the entire thing was $3,000 for an entire furry jumpsuit. And we saw so many people walking around in them joints. And I was like, I can't believe, like, how hot are you? Like, I was wearing a hoodie, and I was hot as hell in that thing. I was hot as hell in that in a hoodie. And they were wearing a whole fox jumpsuit. It was crazy. It was so many furries down there, and they're so weird. They're the weirdest people of all time because they play into the character, right? So they do, like, they're pretending to be a fox, so they're doing fox shit, like sniffing the ground and, you know, being all awkward and curious and all this kind of stuff, man. You're like, man, these dudes are fucking weird. Like this stuff is fucking weird. Yes, I saw people walking furries. Yep, people with chokers on them and stuff like that. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. They, I never seen a furry by themselves. It's almost always with somebody else who's playing into the character, petting them so they can sniff them and all that kind of stuff. The PDAs with them pretending to be animals and rubbing themselves against whoever they with and all this kind of stuff. Man, it is so weird. It is so weird. I didn't know. It was like it's one of the craziest things. And I see them all the time. I see fucking furries. I see them all the time. They're at every single time I go out. I see a furry. It goes without fail. The furries are going to show up. They're going to be there. Yeah, man. They either A, they got some kind of chain or a body thing on them, like a leash, or sometimes like how they wear those things for kids and or puppies, where they have that chest thing and it's like behind them. So you have like you might have put a kid on a leash, but it's like across their body. I've seen people walking their furry friends on that. I've seen them wearing like straight up leashes. It was pretty wild, Blair Davenport. I'm telling you, man, the furries, boy, they get busy, man. They get busy. They be out too. I just don't understand how you could wear that full regalia and not be hot. I saw a dude in a full Sonic jumpsuit. I was just looking like, man, how could he not be hot? The guy who was wearing the full Chainsaw Man joint kept taking the head off because it was hot. Like he was just putting it on to take pictures, and that was it. Otherwise, he was taking that joint off. But I was like, man, I can't imagine. Bodie Hayward, we hardly knew ye. May he rest in peace. Okay, it's Wolfgang. But it was so much fun. But the convention, other part of the convention is the food cost. Oh, look at this. Our big booty nunchuck girl. I got a card for her. That's excellent. Excellent. Yes. Excellent. Oh, we're going to get into the villain controversy in a moment. I like to do a little bit of a preamble talking about other things first because I like to make these live streams a little interactive. Yeah, Chainsaw Man is amazing. Chainsaw Man is great. Here's the other member of Pretty Deadly. The other member of Pretty Deadly. So this is pretty cool. A lot of these people are fired. Like this NXT UK roster. A lot of these people are fired. When we get through all of these cards, we'll definitely get into Naruto, and I'll actually talk about my problem with Madara and everything that happened after the last time I talked to y'all about Naruto, because my liking of Naruto plummeted over the last week. I'm not even gonna hold you up. It got to the point sometimes where I didn't even want to watch the fucking show. Yes, I have seen the Wolverine and the X-Men cartel. I did see that. We got Finn Balor. But back to this thing. It was a fun experience. It was a really fun experience. But you get tired really fast. You get tired really, really fast. But I enjoyed it because I wasn't by myself, so that was great. I could still have fun by myself, but it's so much better when you go with somebody else. It's so much better when you go by, because going by yourself is it's interesting to people watch and everything, but it's better. Like I like doing things with her because she's not into it, but she's not really into anime and she's not even into that kind of shit. So I got to talk about it and explain to her why Chainsaw Man had chainsaws all over his head and shit. Yeah, Isla Dawn hasn't been fired yet. Isla Dawn is still there. She's just not on. She is not working yet. They haven't called her up to do anything, but she still works there. Um, Somebody saying the Akatsuki made the show worse, or Otsuki. Oh, I'm guessing you mean Kaguya. Yeah, she. That's this show was. I don't want to get right into it. I don't want to get into it too soon. I don't want to get into it too soon. I hate that I fucking lost all of my I fucking lost all of my notes because I did have so many more notes, but the general idea we're going to be able to get to that pretty easily. You know, so be on the lookout. All of this shit is just absolutely so much NXT UK, not so much NXT 2.0. GG Dolan. So I have all of Toxic Attraction now. Not bad. Not bad at all. Sangha. Who was this guy? Oh, it's A-Kid. Okay. I think all of these pictures were taken during the pandemic. That's what it looks like. Some of these pictures were taken during the pandemic. Somebody mentioned Isla Dawn just a minute ago, and here she is. We got a foot fetishist. Oh my God. Oh, our dear sister in Christ, Lash Legend. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, I definitely have a problem with Naruto. I definitely have a problem with Naruto. And we're gonna talk about it in one moment as soon as we get done with all these damn cards. Zach Gibson. So I have Zach Gibson and James Drake and Joe Gacy. I don't think they would even have a card for Ava Rain yet. So I got most of the schism. Eddie Dennis. He no longer works there either. Duke Hudson. Not bad. Indy Hartwell. Okay, I think I got an Indy Hartwell card already. I can just add this one to the. It's not a double, but what's this? Oh, it's your boy Otis. Yeah, we'll talk about her in one moment. Oh, this is a double. The most boring, plain looking guy on the entire roster, Ashton Smith. And this is the final card. Hopefully, it's a good one. And it is Big E. This is a good one. This is a good catch for our final card in the box. Big E. So not bad. Not bad at all. All right. So are you guys ready to now talk about the ending of Naruto Shippuden, the ending of the Naruto journey that we had on this channel? I am ready. I am ready. I'm about to turn my camera off, so I know you guys are, this is going to be our G-rated portion of the show. All right, so I'm about to turn the camera off. Okay. Let's talk about Naruto. Okay, oh boy. So it's hard for me to explain where we stopped last time. I'm pretty sure we was in the middle of the Great Ninja War, where Madara and Obito were killing everybody, and everything, and Neji had been murdered. I literally let's just talk about it in general, okay? Everybody wants to talk about Madara, Uchiha. Everybody wants to talk about Kaguya, Otsuki. Everybody wants to talk about this stuff. I want to start with my favorite character, which is Obito. Okay. When Obito became the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, he wasn't the Ten Tails Jinchuriki very long. But his whole idea of wanting to basically retreat into a fantasy world because reality was too much for him. The reality that he had, that Kakashi had failed Rin, that he would never be Hokage, being trapped and brainwashed by Madara, the reality was just too garbage for him. He did not did not want to live in that reality. He wanted to live in the infinite Tsukiyomi where he could have whatever he wanted. And it was interesting because what they're telling you with Obito is that he's essentially a man child. You know, he's only interested really in his past and wanting things the way that he wanted them. And he's interested in his own dreams. But he couldn't have everything that was in his dreams. So he essentially threw away everything. You know, he just basically tossed away his entire past, his name, everything. And then his redemption arc was Talk No Jutsu, which is, of course, the Naruto specialty, you know, sweet psychology jutsu. And Naruto knows everything about you and talks about your background and basically counsels you. His social worker jutsu. And it was that was one of the things that I really kind of got tired of. Like, okay, all right, you know, Naruto wants to try to talk people down, but once they murder a bunch of people, man, like there really is no talking to be done. You know, like it's like Obito started this whole. There's dead people all over the place, brother. You know, there's literally dead people all over the place, and Naruto is kind of like, come back to the leaf. I'm like, what the fuck is he gonna do? Like, let's say that worked, and Obito was like, wow, it's that easy? I could just stop, you know, killing a bunch of people, and I can go back to the Leaf Village. Is everybody gonna be okay with that? Like, you have people dead all around you. It's not that simple. You know, it's not that simple that you can just be like, forget about, you know, your evil plan. And, you know, it's like at some point you have to realize that evil has gone too far. You know, that's the thing about redemption arcs. You can have redemption, but the evil should be on a lower scale. When you have upper scale evil, like a Madara or an Obito, you can't redeem them. It's just you just cannot. It says something about your universe. If somebody could become a mass murderer and it becomes okay, you can talk them down after that. It's like, no, you can't. Yes, we know that Obito is Naruto. That's kind of how he kind of is able to relate to Obito, and that's one of the interesting things is Naruto found ways to relate to most of the characters that he was able to talk down. He was able to find ways to relate to them and to relate to their pain and to relate to their struggle. But at the same time, brother, you have to realize that it doesn't work that way. You know, you have to realize dudes are mass murderers. Like it kind of has to get there. For me, the show went off the rails with anything that involved Hashirama, and Idra and Ashura and all. Once that started happening, my brain fried, and I was like, I'm done with this. Because at that point, they were introducing so many characters, and they were in different parts of the battlefield. It was too difficult for me to keep up. There was too many fillers that I wanted to skip through, and shit I didn't want to sit through, and characters I didn't care about because I knew they weren't going to matter later. There was dead characters that were still hanging around. I was just kind of like, holy shit, I just cannot believe there are so many characters on the board right now. You know, like there's so many characters like floating around right now. Madara just deciding, fuck Obito, I'm gonna kill him. And you know, he snatched what was it, Kakashi's eye, because to get a new Sharingan, so he snatched Kakashi's eye. That was pretty sweet. And then he stole the Rinnegan eye from Obito. Now they basically told you that Obito was dead, and he was basically a puppet. Being, you know, White Zetsu was running around with him as a puppet. But somehow Obito managed to survive, and he, after realizing that he was just being used by Madara, Madara didn't really care about him. It wasn't really about, you know, the creating an infinite reality of peace or any of that shit that Madara was talking about. It was just Madara just wanted power. Yeah, that kind of turned him around. It helped him realize that the fantasy world wasn't going to be that great either. But I felt like I saw Obito's backstory 600 fucking times. And I was like, I felt very sympathetic to him, which is why I say he's one of my favorite characters. But they really overdid it with his showing his backstory. They really overdid it. They overdid it. And I like how they threw those backstories. However, they did add some elements to Kakashi because he was a dickhead as a kid, you know. And it took for him to fail. And they talked about this a little bit later in the series when he had lost his Sharingan, and now Naruto ended up healing his eye, so now he's just got his two regular eyes. They basically talked about how he felt useless, that he couldn't do anything. But you see that he had that guilt going all the way back to when Obito had gotten crushed by that rock, that he couldn't help Obito. And then he couldn't help Rin either. So he failed both of his teammates. And then he started feeling like he was failing Team 7 because he couldn't do anything for them either. And he was very quickly told to snap out of it. Like, you gotta, like, that was the thing about, like, all of this huge battle is going on. And Kakashi's having a survivor's guilt. And Naruto is, he's talking to the beasts. He's talking to Hagoromo. He's talking to all these other people. It's like all these conversations going on while the big battle is still going on. It just all felt very clunky. And it would have been cleaner if we could have just gotten through Madara and then maybe did something, whatever we're going to do with this chick, or maybe even not have her in it, which I know some people are going to be like, oh, how can you do that? We'll talk about that in a moment. But when you had so much stuff overlaid on top, it makes for a good war because there is a lot of stuff happening. But once the Infinite Tsukiyomi happened, the show lost everything because most of the characters are now taken off the stage, which is the right thing to do. You have to get rid of some of these fucking characters. There's just too many people floating around. So now you got all of these characters getting wrapped up in the Infinite Tsukiyomi, and now we're in filler fucking hell. We're in flashback filler fucking hell for I don't know how long. We have to know what everybody's fucking dream is, what they really wanted out of life. I was like, I am not interested in that. All right. If we could have done this some other way, maybe. But for Christ's sake, in an arc that was already bogged down with tons of flashbacks, it was hard for me to get excited and to care about that. And I like some of those characters. I like Shikamaru and Tenten and Tamari and all of them. I like them characters. But at that point in time, I didn't give a fuck about what they wanted out of, what reality they were stuck into, where they were excited and happy and all that. I just didn't care. And then they ended up bringing in the aliens. The aliens. When I saw aliens, bro, I was instantly like, this show is jumping the shark. I was getting so frustrated by this point because Madara is so powerful that they can't beat him, right? So they can't beat him. So now we're stuck in flashback fillers loop until something happens. Something has to happen in order to get us out of this loop. And so once Madara is the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, he morphs into Kaguya Otsuki, where we realize that she is the mother of all chakra, and she has absolutely no personality whatsoever. She's basically nothing more than a plot device. She exists so that Madara can lose. And everybody knows this. She exists so that Madara can die. So this character, and then we got thrown into another flashback because now we have to learn about her and her sons, and then her son's sons, and then the rebellion against her by her sons. And I was just like, oh my fucking God, can we get to the point of this shit? Like, to me, once we started going through all of that, I felt like it was writing for the sake of. It was boring. And that's the worst thing about it. It was just fucking boring. I did not care about any of these characters. Yes, some of them, like the Sage of the Six Paths, they have been talking about him for a long time. Uh, we got that. But do I need to? Sometimes it's better to leave something as a big mythical concept and not try to humanize it. That was the crazy thing. Then we found out that Ten Tails is a tree, which I think is great. That's great. Ten Tails, the roots of the tree. That's fine. The tree has the fruit. Kaguya eats the fruit. She becomes the mother of chakra on Earth. Then we found out that the tree is an alien. Kaguya is an alien, but we don't know where she comes from. They're not telling us where she came from. It doesn't matter, I guess. So it was like, okay, well, she could have just not been an alien if that's going to be the case. She could have just been a human like everybody else. And then we learned that she was at one point a regular woman who was in love with a human, had sex with a human. Then her husband gets killed in the war, and she kind of becomes this emotionless, harsh character. She gives her powers to her sons. One of her sons falls in love with a human, and then the human girl is fed to the tree. He starts to hate his mother, and I'm just like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. Now, none of this might have been too bad if we didn't have so many flashbacks before this that slowed the pace down to a crawl. And I think this is part of the Obito Madara shift. There were so many flashbacks of Obito and Madara in their childhoods and all of this stuff that it slowed the pace of the show. At some point, bro, you even forget that there's a war going on. Like you're forgetting that some characters have just died. You're forgetting that all of these characters are now captured and they're in suspended animation in the Infinite Tsukiyomi. You forget that stuff even happening because we're trapped in flashbacks. And to me, if you're going to have a battle, you can't keep having the battle be taken away from. You're taking away from the battle too much. To learn about these characters and to learn their histories and all this kind of fuck. Do all of that before we get here. Because once the fighting starts, let the fight do what it do. Right? Let the fight have an outcome. And then we can go into the rest of this shit. But they kept saying they fight a little bit and then they talk, fight a little bit, talk, tell stories, go into history, flashbacks, this, that, and the third. And it just felt very wonky and it made it very difficult for me to follow, which is why I had so many notes. I had so many notes because I'm trying to follow what's happening here. And then Black Zetsu happens. Once Black Zetsu steps in, now everything's fucking blown up. Because now no longer is a Madara's plot. It was Black Zetsu's plot. It was him who was, as he was born, just as Kaguya was going to be sealed away by her sons. Black Zetsu escaped her body, whatever, and was the one who put together all of this stuff. Every single thing that ever happened in this fucking show is because of Black Zetsu, all of a sudden, who was basically a shadow creature that lived in Kaguya's coat or whatever the fuck. And I'm just kind of like, bruh, he jumped the shark so fucking hard right here. It was incredibly frustrating. It was incredibly frustrating. I was like, oh, hell no. What is going on? What is going on? Once Black Zetsu starts explaining how he organized everything, how he put this person in place, because he's been there in the behind the scenes for hundreds of years and all this kind of stuff, I'm just kind of like, oh my God, bro. It makes it almost sound like none of these characters had any individual will. They were all just part of the big machine that Black Zetsu put together, which takes away from those characters. So we went through learning about Madara and his life and Obito and his life and all these different characters and all of their lives. But none of it fucking matters because it was all just manipulated by Black Zetsu. So we could have cut out all that shit. We should have been looking at, if we're going to be talking about characters and how they make bad decisions, like the Hashirama Madara storyline about Madara making fucking bad decisions. You know, he wanted to be his distrust of Hashirama, you know, and the Leaf, and you know him being suspicious, and how his brother hate Tobirama, how he hates the Uchiha, and Madara's like, okay, well, I'm gonna take my leave, you know, like you know, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna get out of here. And plus, he had greater ambitions. But once we kind of went away from all that stuff, we just basically just fell into this hell of flashbacks and characters that I don't think even matter that much. To be quite honest, like Kaguya as a character, if you cut her out of the series, do you really lose a lot? No. You know, you don't really lose a lot if Kaguya is cut from the series. You know, if you cut her children out of the series, well, one of them, Sage of the Sixth Path, is pretty important. But other than that, it's hard for me to care about this. And plus, like the power scale kept escalating. And when we got to Madara getting to the point where he could not be defeated by anybody, okay, now what? You know, like, now what? So, all right, so let's get into what happened. So, Kaguya infests the body of Madara. She becomes, she rewalks the plane. She, of course, brings out more. She moving people around and stuff like that. She doesn't want to battle on the earth because this is a precious land for her. So she takes them somewhere else to a different dimensional space. Somehow Obito is still there. Kakashi is still there. Sakura is there. Sasuke and Naruto now have these things into their palms where they can seal Kaguya because they had to talk to the Sage of the Six Paths to learn about all that crap. I'm completely and totally confused, and I want this to be over. Right? So then we learn that she's weak against nature energy. So because that's the kind of energy that she had no control over. It's a different kind of chakra. She doesn't have any kind of control over that. So the backstory of the Sage of the Six Paths is that he's the first human to go to the land of the toads or whatever and learn nature energy. So he learned nature energy, and he was able to seal her away with his knowledge of nature energy and all that kind of shit. Which we probably could have told that story back with Jiraiya and all that kind of stuff, right? So she is, they're fighting. She's turning people to ash with things that come out of her hands. She's talking about how much she hates human beings and all this kind of stuff. It's really all stupid. And this character is incredibly boring. All right, so Kaguya is sealed due to the teamwork of Naruto and Sasuke, who are now, we're being told, are the resurrection, or the reincarnation of Idra and Ashura. And I'm just kind of like, oh, they're the reincarnation of such and such. And I'm just kind of like, God, can't they just be Naruto and Sasuke? For fuck's sake. Why can't they just be the same fucking the kids that we saw before? Why do they have to be the resurrection or the reincarnation of these other fucking guys? Now we have to learn about these fucking guys. I don't care about any of that shit. You know, like I didn't care. It was hard for me to care. So as Kaguya is being sealed away and the Ten Tails is being sealed away, I thought it was funny that Naruto used the sexy jutsu on her, which was completely out of place. It was something that felt like he wouldn't have done it under normal situations. But because this character is so humorless and emotionless or anything like that, they felt they had to do something in order to make it interesting. So him busting out the sexy jutsu so he can land one punch was pretty funny. I know that made people feel a certain way, but I didn't mind it. So at this point, they're trying to, after they seal away Kaguya, Naruto had cut off her arm and Black Zetsu is then nailed to the ground, so he can't escape her arm for some reason. I don't know what the fuck that thing was. We had seen Black Zetsu and White Zetsu slither around this motherfucker for episode after episode after episode. But now all of a sudden he's stuck in her sleeve. He can't move. I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on anymore. So so she's sealed away. Black Zetsu is then he's called a what did Naruto call him? A kid that's scared to leave the nest or something like that. And they threw him in there too. As the 10 tails is being sealed away, they spit out Madara. So Madara is spit out and into the ground, and they wrote a perfect way for him to be killed off, which could have happened without Kaguya and us going into all that shit, which is that if you're a Jinchuriki and the beast is removed, you will die. So, if that's the rule, how do you defeat Madara Uchiha? You remove the 10 tails from his body, correct? Okay. Why wasn't that just the way to beat him? Why do we have to go into all of this other shit? Why do we have to go into Hagoromo and the Sage of the Six Paths and all this kind of shit? Why do we have to go through all of that? And if we were going to go through all of that, we could at least took a break from this war to do that. But instead, they spit Madara out. So now Madara has to die because he was a Jinchuriki for the 10 tails and it was removed from his body. That was the simplest way to get rid of this character. It was a built-in weakness. A weakness built into the power set, how you could defeat him. Why we had to go through all the rest of this shit, I don't have no earthly idea. And then for some reason, Hashirama is still there. And because apparently every good guy in Naruto is the goodest of good guys, he has to go sit next to Madara as Madara is dying. Okay? So Madara dies. Hashirama is there, his friend till the end. And I'm just kind of like, bruh, let's just wrap this up. You know, like at this, I'm beyond like, let's wrap this up. You know, I'm beyond it right now. So pretty much everybody who's going to die is dead. Sasuke starts talking about a revolution. He ends up putting all the other tail beasts under Jinchuri, under Genjutsu, and he's going to steal them all away. Now, at this point, I'm like, all right, this is interesting. Sasuke figures that the tail beasts are a problem. They're a source of conflict for the villages. Now he has this new concept of what it means to be the Hokage that he wants to try. And it's based off of Itachi. Basically, the new formulation for the Hokage is the one who's responsible for everybody, the one who's responsible for everything. Not necessarily the person who has the title of Hokage, but the person who is responsible for everybody, who takes all the hatred and all the heat, the way Itachi did. That's his new concept of what the Hokage is. And he knows that everybody's going to hate him if he take away all the tail beasts and all this kind of stuff, but he's willing to take that bet. That this is the only way to ensure peace, is to take all the tail beasts off the board, so you can't fight over them anymore. You know what? I agree with that. I like that formulation. So I'm like, okay, cool. Sasuke's going to take all the tail beasts, get them out of here. Okay, cool. So at this point, he figures if he is a big enough villain, all the villages will continue their cooperation, because their cooperation is all tentative upon Madara and Kabuto and all these guys, the Akatsuki, being a threat to everybody. So if he becomes a big enough villain, then he can, in theory, keep the villages cooperating, because human beings are naturally going to fracture and start to fall apart, which is, again, solid logic. None of this is negative logic. It all works. So Sasuke does this stuff, and he's going to run off again. So Naruto's not going to let that happen. He runs off again. Naruto chases him, and now it leads to the big battle, and where Naruto and Sasuke are going to have their final fight. Plenty of flashbacks here, but it was a pretty decent fight. At the end, we get Sasuke calling Naruto his one and only friend. One and only friend. Sasuke, we then learned through flashbacks, saw Squad 7 as a family, and that he actually learned to share in Naruto's pain, and that's when he started feeling that Naruto was a real comrade. While Naruto wanted to be like Sasuke because he saw him as being cool. That, everybody liked Sasuke. And he saw Sasuke as a leader. But ended up with Naruto being mostly the leader, which is interesting. That is when Naruto was told by Obito, I think it was Obito, how he's going to step over the corpses of all of the other ninja or whatever, all the other shinobi. And Naruto says that the Hokage should be at the front, so he'll never step over his comrades. And I thought that was an excellent counter argument. That, Naruto's formulation of the Hokage isn't what we would think of as a captain or a king who lays back and lets everybody else do their thing. In his formulation, the Hokage is in the front. The Hokage is the one who leads the charge. And Naruto has always sought to be a leader. And he saw Sasuke as a leader. And so he wanted to follow him to prove it to him. Okay. But then we get into the gay as fuck stuff. It was very latently homosexual. Them falling asleep together after the fight, their blood mixing together after they both lost an arm. It was gay as hell. It was what it was. Naruto, at this point, Sasuke admits defeat, says that he was going to kill himself because, just to end this thing. And Naruto said, look, it's not about winning and losing. So it's not about who won and who lost. It's about us being friends. At this point, the two of them put their powers together to end the infinite Tsukuyomi, which causes the death of the white Zetsu, who is still, again, floating around somehow. And that's essentially the end of the series, is that Sasuke and Naruto came to an agreement and came to an understanding that they have been tied together forever by fate. And essentially they're brothers because the narrative needs for them to be brothers, even though the relationship, you don't really see it, which I'm going to talk about that too later. You don't really see the brotherhood between Naruto and Sasuke. But that's the storyline that we're going with here. And their teamwork, only them two working together can save everybody. So they had to work together to defeat Kaguya, and they have to work together to end the infinite Tsukuyomi. So both of those things happen. Okay. So the battle is over. The war is over. Naruto and Sasuke win. Naruto essentially wins because Sasuke admits defeat in their singles battle. And so now we go to the denouement. Everything that has to happen to tie up the loose ends. Kakashi becomes the 6th Hokage. Naruto is a hero to all of the villages. He's incredibly popular. Everybody loves him. Sasuke is initially imprisoned with his eyes covered, and he's in a straitjacket, which probably should have been how they left him. But Kakashi ends up letting him out. Then we get into the whole Sasuke exploding weapons bullshit. Exploding humans bullshit. I don't know what the fuck that was about, nor do I care. But we got that. Might Guy has broken legs, but he's still optimistic. He's coming back. I love Might Guy. He rules. Naruto learns that he's going to become a Jonin, but he has to do 2 years of studying first. Then you learn that, of course, there is no shortcuts to becoming Hokage. So now he has to, even though he hates schooling, he has the skill level and everything, but he needs to learn the books part of it. He has to be taught leadership. He knows about it from actually doing it, but he has to also, be taught that. Okay. But then we get lost in more filler hell, even though it wasn't filler. You know, technically all of this shit with Sasuke and the exploding humans and the Hell Valley stuff, we didn't need none of this stuff. Yes, it was Sasuke was supposed to be trying to atone for his sins. We could have found a different way for him to do this. Um, I didn't care about this. Shikamaru learning about responsibility and adulthood, growing up. His relationship with Tamari. I love Shikamaru. Again, at this point, I'm burned out of Naruto. I'm tired of this fucking show. I want it to end. Right? I want this to be over, for fuck's sake. And we had 5 episodes or 6 episodes of fucking Shikamaru hanging out with 2 new characters that they brought in, 2 more fucking characters. But I did think it was nice looking back on it. The relationship between him, Ino, and Choji, and how they talked about it in a restaurant, how they used to hang out together all the time. Now it's difficult for them to find time to hang out. You know, it's just part of growing up. And that's one of the things that you learn through the Shikamaru episodes, even though I skipped through these episodes. I didn't sit down and watch them. Is that it's mostly about how that relationship is. Shikamaru's little chapter here is about growing up, assuming responsibility. And you do learn that Shikamaru, one of his top traits in terms of when he was a character in the original Naruto show, is that he didn't want the responsibility. He's like, oh man, it's such a drag. I have to do all of this stuff. But now that he's growing up, he understands that he has to do this stuff. And he doesn't really say, oh man, it's such a drag. He doesn't really say that stuff anymore, you know? But they talked about it in context of like a piece of candy. And I think Ino has a piece of candy or something, like a piece of gum or something. And she's like, wow, this is sweet. Was it always this sweet? You know? And I think that was excellent because we all have that sort of interaction when it was something that we really, really liked as kids. But then as an adult, you're kind of like, man, I can't deal with this. Something like Tahitian treat. That was my thing, right? Like I used to love Tahitian treat and that kind of stuff when I was younger. But now I'm like, ooh, this shit is basically syrup. You know, I cannot be sitting here, you know, eating this shit. You know, you love cookies and cakes and donuts and that kind of shit. And then you get older and you're like, man, it's a little too sweet. It's a little too much for me. You know, but you always liked it as a kid. So I like that little stuff too. But everything that involved the wedding of Naruto and Hinata was absolute garbage. And I didn't need it. I didn't care about any of that stuff. And then to me, it felt like it was a waste of time because most of those episodes were around what am I going to get them for the wedding? What am I going to get them? I want to get them a great gift. And it's like, who cares? For starters, why is Hinata and Naruto getting married? Can anybody in the comment section explain to me why they're getting married? What is the relationship between Hinata and Naruto? What was their big moment that brought them together so now that they are in love with each other? We know that Hinata has always had a crush on Naruto. We know that. But just because she has a crush on him doesn't mean he has to like her back. So why are they together? What is their relationship? What is it about? I legitimately don't know. And I thought that answer would be in those episodes. And it's not there. If anything, fucking Sasuke is Naruto's fucking lover. He's the one that he's been chasing through the fucking woods for 600 episodes or some shit. So, I don't know. You say it's a canon movie? Is it? Why does Naruto love her? That's the question. What is it about her that he likes? There's very little to no interaction between these two fucking characters throughout the entire series. That's the thing that frustrated me the most about this being the big finish. The big finish being the Hinata and Naruto marriage is that these two characters in every interaction is just Hinata talking about or blushing and talking to Naruto. He gives her compliments, sure, but he gives everybody compliments. He compliments all of the characters. He's nice to pretty much everybody, not just her. So there is nothing special that they share between the two of them. So it just doesn't make sense for me. It just doesn't make sense to me that these two characters would get married. So you would think. Let me tell you how little they put into this thing. There was more interest in the Shikamaru Tamari relationship because that at least stretches back to the original Naruto. You know, that at least stretches back to the original Naruto when they were partners for a long time, and you could tell that there was going to be something between them. That you could see that there was going to be something between Shikamaru and Tamari. You saw that way back in regular Naruto, and they touched on it again and again throughout Shippuden. So them getting together, okay, that was great. But Hinata and Naruto, no. No. There's no reason for those two characters to get married. None. Yeah, of course, maybe Neji dying would bring them together, but really? You love her because her cousin died? Maybe because she put her life on the line for him. Okay, that would be something. She did get murdered right in front of him. That would mean something after she told him that she loved him and all that kind of stuff. But he didn't tell her that he loves her. He didn't do anything for her. He didn't, Naruto was sacrificing his life for all of the villages and all of this kind of stuff. It had nothing to do with just Hinata. You would think that if you were going to, I'm sorry, he does do romance. The Sasuke and Naruto thing is fucking romantic. That's the thing. It was romance. That's what that was. These two guys laying under the fucking sun together, laughing and crying to one another. I shouldn't have to watch the fucking movie if it's in the show, The idea that, oh yeah, it's no. That's why she loves him, RES. She loves him. Well, I'm sorry, Kenny too, because he stood up for her. He gave her motivation. He gave her all this stuff. Again, when she said she loved Naruto, did he say anything back? No. So anything they try to do after that is going to be a retcon because we try to make it work. We try to force this to why they're together. Throughout the fucking series, they were in the same village. They were around each other a lot. Nothing happened. Okay, just literally nothing happened. So we really just kind of force feeding this thing, which to me, we could have took some time instead of doing all these fucking flashbacks, or we could have at the end of the battle, maybe Naruto's got one arm and he's fucked up, and Hinata's with him all the time. And, she's still a little bit embarrassed and all this kind of stuff, and we see that relationship form there. That after the war, Naruto's not thinking about Sasuke anymore. He's not thinking about the 10-tailed beast anymore. He's got one arm. He's kind of crippled or whatever. But Hinata's always there. She's always there to take care of him. She's always there to help him. And that's kind of when we see their relationship form. But it just popped up out of nowhere that they're getting married. That was kind of like, whatever. just end this fucking show already. I don't care. Just end it. Call it a day. You would think that if you're going to end the series with a big wedding, at least let it be between characters who have spent a lot of time together, or end it at the high point of your best relationship or whatever that case may be. Like if Naruto ended after Sasuke and Naruto end the Infinite Tsukiyomi, and they both have one arm, and Sasuke's in jail, and Naruto's a hero. If the show would have ended right there, are you really missing out on the rest of this stuff? No. Naruto doesn't need to get married in this show because he wasn't interested in romance and dating and any stuff like this. He wasn't interested in any of that shit. So that wasn't really needed in order to finish this series. you know. So to me, it felt like it was ham-fisted and it didn't make sense. But people want to argue with me, go try it. Sure, but there's plenty of people who have crushes on you, but you don't like them. Again, that would be like Sakura and Naruto getting married. It's like, okay, well, she doesn't really like Naruto, so why would they get married? Well, because he likes her, and that's it. Like, I like you, we're getting married. It's kind of like, no, that's not how it works. It said their time together was off screen. Well, maybe, but if the marriage is going to be on screen, then maybe we should see their relationship. And then we saw more of Obito and his obsession with Rin than we ever saw with Naruto and Hinata. Like, I'm sorry. So when you say Kishimoto can't do romance, you look at this situation, I'm like, oh, at this point, Rin has been dead for what, 10 years or something like that? I'm talking forever. And Obito is still like, that was everything to him. You know, that was very important to him. That's very romantic, you know. And then all the male relationships in this fucking show is almost romantic. How you can just easily forgive any horrible, evil thing that your friend did, you know, because we had good times when we were kids, like the Hashirama Madara situation. Like Hashirama ended up killing him, sure. But that's only because he was threatening the village. But he had forgiven a lot of horrible shit that Madara had did. You know, Kakashi forgave so much horrible shit that Obito did because he built those relationships. The relationship between two characters, if you can do a platonic relationship, if you can do a rivalry, if you can do anything like that, you can do a we should get married, you know, type of thing. Or just say forget it. You know, it was just some way of, you could have avoided this whole marriage thing. They could have got married. If you're going to do a continuous series, you could have done it there and they got married. And whatever that is, Boruto, whatever. Just have them get married in that show rather than have them get married here. Because you didn't put any effort into this storyline to me of them getting married. Naruto didn't have a girlfriend, didn't say anything about having a girlfriend, didn't talk about having a girlfriend, wasn't even interested in any girls outside of Sakura. And yeah, Sasuke he was better as a villain. He was better off just being the rogue ninja who did his own thing. But they were having so many characters be redeemed that of course his redemption was coming. You know, this guy's talking about destroying the Leaf Village one minute, then he's talking about being a Hokage the next. Then he's like, well, if I can be like Itachi and I'm going to be an antagonist to all of the villages. His ambitions kept switching and flipping and all this kind of stuff, which is kind of how we all are as kids. Even though he's supposed to be like a teenager, so it's not like set in stone. But now it's different from Naruto. Like Naruto has always had this one fucking goal, and that was kind of it. So over an hour into the show, we're finally going to start talking about the main subject of the show, which is why Madara broke the series and everything after he became the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. Essentially throw the show into a loop of we don't know what to do now, right? This has happened so many times because people overpower the villains. Okay? And it's almost always a writer problem. You like your villains too much and you overpower them. You know, you give them too much power, and then all of a sudden, it's impossible for anybody to fucking stop them. Okay? So I put the timestamp in there for people who just are interested in the main subject. I wrote down on the placards 3 good examples. Dr. Doom, Secret Wars 2015. Dr. Doom steals the powers of the Beyonders. He then becomes the Emperor of Battle World. He rewrites reality because he can to make himself the husband of Sue Richards. Um, he turns Johnny Storm into the sun. There's nothing he can't do because now he's got the powers of the Beyonder. He's God Emperor Doom of Battle World. He can do whatever he wants. You essentially wrote your way into a corner because the Infinity Stones don't work. Thanos doesn't work. Doctor Strange doesn't work. Nothing works against Doom. He's just killing everybody. So you have to come up with some kind of weird, contrived way of him losing. And it doesn't make any sense. You broke the verse. All right. Yes, the bloodline of the WWE is part of that too. Roman Reigns is so strong right now that do you really just see him getting hit with 2 crossroads or whatever and getting pinned? And that is what? That's going to be lackluster. Madara Uchiha had gotten so powerful in this show that they wrote themselves into a corner. How do we get out of this? How do I get out of this? And he created a whole new character and a slew of other lore and shit just to get out of this one situation. Just to try to get out of this Madara being too powerful. Dragon Ball Super, the exact same thing. Or Zamasu. He got everything he wanted. He got the Dragon Balls, wished for the body of Goku so he could have the Super Saiyan God power. He traveled across time to find himself, and then gave himself an immortal body, invincible body. And then he fused those 2 concepts, and I see UWG feel, and see those 2 concepts he fused together to create Fuse Zamasu. And he's fucking unbeatable. There's nothing you can do. Okay? So now you got this character that you can't kill. You can't defeat him. And the weird thing is they tried to do the sealing thing, right? Which would have been a great finish to that series, by the way. If they said, look, we can't kill this fucking guy, but we can seal him inside of a bottle or something like that. That would have been a great way to finish off Zamasu. Again, it was literally right there. Instead, what they did was use that as the impetus for him to fuse. So, and then Goku forgot the bottle. Right? I forgot the bottle. Oh, what do I do? No, it was ridiculous. It made no sense. But that's what happens when you give the villains everything that they want. When you give the villain everything that they want, and what they want is to have an infinite amount of power, an infinite amount of prestige, or whatever, and there's literally nothing else for you to do. There's nothing you can do in that situation. You wrote yourself into a corner. How do you get out of this? How do you get out of the villain became immortal? Now they can't die. Okay, now what? Okay, well we have stealing jutsu or whatever that could get us out of this situation. Okay, cool. That's a better way to do it. Dragon Ball completely dropped the ball on Zamasu. That everything about that was weird. He ended up his body got destroyed, but his essence is forever. And then he corrupted the entire universe with the Laughing Man heads and stuff like that. It was ridiculous. It was truly one of the most ridiculous. Like, I love Zamasu. I think the Goku Black art had tremendous potential. But, guy, crikey, they had to beat him by pushing the button for the Omni Team. Like, that's the dumbest fucking finish to an arc ever. It's stupid. And it happened because he wrote themselves into this corner where they gave Zamasu everything that he wanted. Instead of foiling the fucking plan at some point, they gave him everything that he wanted, and then had to try and find some way of getting out of this nonsense. Had a plan to get rid of it, and then dropped the ball there too. And then they did the same thing with Madara. They gave Madara, this plan is so meticulous. It involves so many different moving pieces, and yet it worked out for him 100% with no way of him being able to get beaten after the fact, which you would have thought it would have been something like, okay, all these other Jinchuriki, it takes them years and years to master that power. That could have been a built-in weakness for Madara, that he doesn't really know how to use the power of the 10 Tails. So maybe he's invincible for a while, but then the power starts to wane, or whatever the case may be, or something like that. We could have found some way out of it. But when you give the character everything they want, and what they want is basically infinite power, and now we have to find some way of stopping them, it creates situations where it has to be some kind of contrived nonsense that kind of ruins the arc. And it doesn't turn out the way that the writer wants it to, because it can't. People don't believe it. You don't believe in it. You know, the hero is defined by how strong the villain is. The villain has to be strong enough to validate the hero, but cannot be so strong that it looks absolutely ridiculous that they lost. And every situation I just mentioned here, and in several that you guys can think of, where the villain got everything that they wanted in the end and still managed to lose. It just doesn't make sense. You can create stories that have a lot of tension and where the villain is menacing and the villain is strong, but they're not invincible. They're not unkillable. They're not, unbeatable. Madara never being beaten in battle except for by Hashirama one time makes him a great character in the series for sure. You could talk about how great and how powerful he is, but did it really serve your story very well for him to be a character that can only be defeated by one character on the fucking show? So Naruto doesn't even defeat Madara. That tells you the weirdness of it right there. He doesn't even defeat Madara. Goku doesn't defeat Zamasu. Dr. Doom, it was a group of people, I think, that found a way to strip his powers away. So it was like, once you create a situation where your main character, your main hero cannot feasibly beat the villain, you've written yourself into a corner. You should probably rethink that thing. They have to win in the end. Okay? The hero has to be the guy that comes away in the end that is the one who stopped the previously, or the one who thought of the plan. Reed Richards. He came up with the plan to depower Doom, I think, if I remember correctly. He was the guy who came up with the plan to depower Doom and then defeated Doom in battle. Okay, he's the hero of the story, but you created a situation where, Reed Richards has to be, it's like Galactus, right? When they came up with Galactus, Galactus is the guy who eats planets or whatever. You can't punch and kick Galactus. At least back then you couldn't. You probably could now. They had to come up with the ultimate nullifier as a way of beating Galactus. This silly contraption that really was probably created at the last minute that can stop him, because it was ridiculous that they overthought the issue. Now, Fire Lord Ozai, from Avatar, he got what he wanted. They waited until he had all of his powers or whatever. But what Avatar did that was smart is that they did not have Aang train on something, stealing his power, for instance. They knew when they wrote the story, that's what they wanted to do. They didn't want Aang to kill him. They didn't want Aang to kill Ozai. How do we get around it? Okay, we're going to create a way for Aang to shut his power off. So no matter how powerful he was, at the right time, Aang could cut his power off. That's a way for Aang to win without killing the character. That's a way out. Okay? So that's what they did. They didn't have Ozai then get his powers back, and then they have to find some other contrived way of stopping him. It was simple. Ozai was at the height of his power. He had to fight the Avatar. Both of these characters are at the height of their abilities. The only difference is the Avatar is more in tune with his energies and with the energies of other people and stuff like that. So he can feasibly do something like turn your fucking powers off. All right? It's feasible. It's not out of the realm of possibility that he can turn your powers off. Right? So that works. And it works as a big finish to the series because it's the only time he fucking does it. It's the only time he turns somebody's powers off is when he battles Fire Lord Ozai. I don't think he turned anybody else's powers off in the series. you know. So it was great. It was great. It was a great finish. If they would have built in that Madara got the beast pulled out of his body, and no longer is he the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. The Ten Tails escapes his body somehow. Maybe it just powers its way out. Then Madara starts to die because he's like, shit, you know, what happened? It would have been poetic too, because it was something that he was doing to all of these other people too, you know, and taking out people's powers and all that kind of stuff, killing them. It would have been nice for him to end that same way. But no, we gave him all the powers that he ever wanted, and he got to do the infinite Tsukiyomi, take all these other characters off the board. He was all powerful. He could not be stopped. And therefore, we had to create some kind of contrived way of stopping him, which broke the series. Because now the series has to bend to the will of this one character. Instead of, we need to do something to make this interesting, to make it strong at the end, now we have to bend all of the story to wrap around this one character. Because you can't punch and kick him to death. You know? And you can't talk no jutsu Madara Uchiha. You know, that's not going to work. Naruto was not familiar enough with Madara to talk no jutsu Madara, right? They didn't have, you know, this tie of both wanting to be the Hokage or anything like that. There was nothing between the two characters in which Naruto could, you know, social work his way out of this thing. And Hashirama, they had already tried that hundreds of times, and he couldn't talk Madara out of it. It wasn't going to work. So once you have something like that, you probably would have had this be the character that Naruto, and maybe having Naruto and Sasuke come together to fight him makes sense. I like that. All right. That's the kind of thing everybody is looking for. You know, everybody is looking for that big moment where these two put their shit aside, and Sasuke is willing to come together with Naruto to help do this job. If that was the way that they defeated him, that would have been fine. If they'd have sealed Madara and locked him and he's like orbiting the planet or some shit or whatever, that'd have been cool too. There's a bunch of ways we could have ended this without turning this into a shit show that featured aliens and tons of fucking flashbacks. It absolutely broke the series, you know. And I really enjoyed I really enjoyed Madara. I really enjoyed Naruto up until that last, I don't know, was it about 20 episodes maybe? Then I just kind of like, man, I was done. There's nothing more for you to do. And then in American comic books, once you give a character all the powers that they ever wanted, what do you do with them after that? Like Dr. Doom, once he got the powers of the Beyonders, they started trying to turn him babyface after that. Now he got to begin his redemption arc because he took over the entire universe. He broke up all of these planets. He married his rival's wife. He turned her brother into the sun, rather. Took over his family, did all these horrible things to people, murdered Thanos, murdered the Black Panther broke up the Infinity Stones, did all this other horrible shit. And now it's like, well, I lost my powers. I guess it's time for me to be humble. You know, I guess I need to be a little bit more humble now. Let me be a good guy. I'd be a good guy, Dr. Doom. It's like, come on. You know, that's where you should have killed Doom off and we never seen him fucking again. But you can't do that in American comic books. You can't kill off a character and we never see him again. Like Kraven's Last Hunt, you know, when Kraven finally captures Spider-Man and he buries him alive. I think that's what he did. And everybody's kind of like, well, that should have been the end for Kraven. You know, he succeeded at his goal of defeating Spider-Man, and yet here it is 30 years later, we're still using Kraven the Hunter, but nothing will ever touch when he actually defeated Spider-Man. You can't beat it. So anytime you try to bring him back, it's basically just, you know, it's lackluster. So the villains have to fail. Like, that's what I loved about the Namek arc of Dragon Ball. Frieza had all the power in the world, but the heroes outsmarted him. He had the Dragon Balls. He could have become invincible. He was this fucking close. And the heroes snatched it away. So he didn't get what he wanted. He was still the most powerful person. But what he wanted was immortality. And he was not going to get it. It was not going to happen. They was not going to let that happen. That should be the goal of the hero, is to, and it really kind of frustrated me that it became a sort of trope in comics and anime to let the villain get all of the power that they ever wanted and then take it away. But to me, it always creates a contrived situation. I would rather you stop them, than the Batman, the movie The Batman, right? Where you had the Riddler. He gets captured, but his goal of flooding Gotham still happens. That made the movie 30 minutes longer, and it was a super contrived way of the flooding and all that kind of stuff being stopped. It was like, okay, he did what he wanted to do at that point, and it still didn't work. But even more than that, we basically broke the movie because, hey, Batman stopped Gotham from flooding. It's much different, or prevented Gotham from being flooded. It's a lot better than Batman saved some people during the flood. Because why didn't Batman stop the flood? Well, because he didn't know about it. It's like, well, shouldn't that have been the major issue we were looking at here? And I know some people think that makes the hero even better, is that they managed to let the villain gets everything that they desire, and the hero can still stop them or still thwart some kind of plan of theirs. But I would prevent, like, the idea of the Cobra Commander, I am going to control the earth. It's like, okay, no, we're not going to let that happen. We're going to be the ones that's going to stop that. And then you stop it, and everyone's better off for you having stopped it. So villains should not be able to succeed. People writing this stuff they need to realize, man, villains are meant to be thwarted. They're meant to be stopped in doing their villainy. They're not meant to be validated in doing their villainy. You don't always have to redeem them. You can redeem some characters sometimes, but you have to also have an irredeemable character. Naruto did have that with Madara. He was irredeemable. They didn't even try, really. But they did try. They tried with Hashirama during all the flashbacks and everything to justify why he was the way he was. But you just don't let the villain break your story. I know some of you people out there are writing. I know Ali Hankerson, I think it was, is writing something out there. Don't let the villain break your story. It's okay for the villain to be powerful enough that the hero's going to have a tough time, but it shouldn't be invincible. Don't do it in a way where everybody's going to look silly, or the people are going to roll their eyes when it's over. Do it in a feasible way to end this story. Because I think that Avatar did it the best. Fire Lord Ozai had all the powers that he was going to get, and this was what he was waiting for. And he still managed to get defeated because Avatar has advantages that he didn't have. The Avatar has a spiritual connection to all of the different bendings and all this kind of stuff. But they can't be, they can't succeed in the end in their ultimate goal. This is the question. This is the straight statement I was waiting for, though. Villains have to be a threat so they can win. They have to win sometimes. Sure. But I'm not talking about them winning sometimes. I'm talking about them being so far in ahead beyond the heroes that you have to do something contrived, cliche, or deus ex machina in order to defeat them. Your villain's supposed to be stronger than your hero. That's the thing. They're supposed to cheat, be underhanded. They're supposed to manipulate people, and there's always something else up their sleeve. But then there's also supposed to be a enough is enough. No matter how strong you are, no matter how tough you are, the hero still has the guts, the gumption, and the resources to stop him and win. And we're supposed to know what those guts and those resources things are before we get to that point, right? Again, think about what I was talking about with Madara. You want to have Madara achieve the Ten Tails Jinchuriki form, which he basically stole from Obito, because he manipulated Obito throughout the entire story. Okay, cool. Now we got two built-in ways of stopping him. One, sealing jutsu, which we already know works. Two, if you remove the ten-tailed beast, he will die, which is a way of doing it. Now, you can say, well, he knows all about the removal of the ten-tailed beast thing, or the removal of the beast will kill him or whatever. Okay, cool, but you still have to have the hero say, I've been the victim of this, so this is how we can do it to pull the beast out of him and seal it away or something like that, and therefore he will lose and die. Rather than the hero is incapable of sealing him, incapable of punching him and kicking him to death, and incapable of doing anything else to him, to the point where he essentially has to commit suicide. You know, like, what is the point of that? What's the point of the fucking hero then? What is the point of the hero? What is the point of the hero in Dragon Ball Super, where I can see, you know, Zamasu, who is a low-level sort of Kai. Nobody's paying him too much attention, and he manages to escape, you know, his master, his teacher, or whatever. Get some Dragon Balls, gives himself an invincible body, or a very powerful body. So now he can attack and kill people who are much stronger than he is. And then he travels across time and gives himself the rings or whatever to get to more Dragon Balls. So now he's immortal, so he can't be killed. And then we fuse those two things together. Okay. So now we should have a built-in way of defeating this character, which should have came up in the story. You know, we should have tried the whole sealing concept of, we can't stop this guy, we got to put him in a bottle or something. That should have been an opportunity or something we talked about earlier in the series. And then that should have been the way that we beat him. That would have been an option, because we can't punch, kick, kill this guy. We can't key blast this guy to death like we can, you know, Frieza or something, right? You know, we can't slice him to death or whatever. So we have to come up with some other way. So Dr. Doom, similar situation. They broke out everything that usually works in the Marvel space, the Infinity Stones, Thanos, all this kind of stuff. He runs through all of that shit. Instead, it's the Molecule Man, who is, I believe, was the one who literally took his powers away. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. You know, like, I guess if it has, you have to come up with something, but it needs to be climactic. Your story should have a great climax to it. When your heroes are basically standing around and your villain dies on their own, or somebody else has to step in and win, it's a big turnoff. That Dragon Ball Zamasu thing was a huge turnoff, because Goku and Vegeta couldn't beat him. So what are we going to do? You know, and in those old action movies and stuff like that, you would get all these environmental wins. I kicked you back. You know, we're fighting. You know, the bad guy is winning because he's cheating. He's doing all this kind of stuff. And then the hero powers up, throws a couple of punches, a super kick or something. And then the villain falls back into a meat hook and dies. Like, that meat hook just happened to be there. I hate environmental kills. So you got to be able to do something more than this. WG Phil says, do you hate stories in manga or anime where the rivalry is just reincarnated beef? I don't think it makes, see, to me, it depends on the story. If the story is, let's say something like Yu Yu Hakusho, right? Where you have a character like Kurama. So Karama is a wolf demon or fox demon, one of the two, who was injured and he came to Earth and basically he hid inside of a baby. You know, if you want to have like a relationship with those two a character and another character like that too, who came from somewhere else and they're reincarnated as humans and they're fighting each other, but they know it. It's one thing. This Naruto situation where these are supposed to be the reincarnations of characters we never even fucking met, that we don't even know anything about, and it basically turns everything they do into just this is destiny. This is how things are always going to be. That's weak because it means that these characters would never make their own decisions. That these characters are basically just templates of other characters that exist, and therefore they're not unique. Therefore, they're not worthy of being followed. That there are nothing more than carbon copies of other people who have already existed. And I don't think that that's good. I don't really like that, especially when you have characters that are as strong as Naruto and Sasuke, or well, yeah, as strong. I'm talking about constitutionally, not in terms of physicality, but characters who are strong, characters who have strong beliefs and strong motivations. And they're supposed to be characters that have beliefs and motivations that are based in their individual experience and based in their individual way of looking at the world. When they are just the reincarnation of so and so and so and so, that just takes away from them. You know, you're not adding anything to them, you're taking away. And I think that Naruto being the child of destiny, because his dad was a Hokage and his mama was a Jinchuriki, that took away a lot from Naruto, you know? Because now he's not the young scrappy kid anymore with no parents and, you know, who is learning to tighten up, you know? That's just some stuff that just comes out missing in the series. And it's something that I really enjoyed too about Naruto, is that he was a knucklehead, but he really just wanted attention. Like the whole thing with the Ishiraku ramen, a lot of that stuff wasn't really about food. It was about Naruto spending time with somebody who likes him, being Iruka. Iruka Sensei liked Naruto. Iruka Sensei took interest in Naruto. Part of the whole Naruto really liking ramen thing is that he really likes hanging around Iruka, who likes him. It was, you know, and it kind of touched on this at the end, which I thought was, you know, probably the nicest thing about the wedding, is that Iruka is the closest thing he has to a father in the series, right? So when you have that relationship there, that works. You know, that works when you start saying Naruto's about to get married. Who's going to be his father? Okay, clearly it's going to be Iruka. The best one, most qualified to be a parent of Naruto, because he essentially was Naruto's parent. And you told the story already. The story's already there. But then when they did all this shit with his dad being a Hokage and him spending so much time with his father, like that whole arc right there was them two of them working together and them talking to each other and him talking to his mom and all that shit. It was kind of like, oh God. The regular blue collar aspects of Naruto was basically thrown in a fucking blender, you know, and we're left with he was the child of destiny, the reincarnation of some godlike character from the past or some shit. It's like, no. That's stupid. Come on, man. And I noticed a lot of people they got aggravated when they retconned Bardock to be some kind of good guy Saiyan. And or they'll do something like Bardock was a Super Saiyan, so therefore Goku was a Super Saiyan. It's like, yeah, that destroys the character of Goku. It does, because the entire Goku Vegeta rivalry in the story of Dragon Ball Z is essentially that Goku is a character that no matter how much stronger you are than him, he's going to outwork you. His blue collar work ethic is what put him over the top. By turning Goku into some kind of character based on destiny or some shit like that, it destroys all of his willpower. If it's his genetics and not his literal ability to bust his ass, then everybody who looked at Goku as a hero is going to start looking at him as like, okay, well, I can never be like Goku. I'll never have a super special, super smart dad or whatever. What people liked about him was the entire, not even the superhero aspect to Goku. It was the fact that hard work equals success. That's what people liked. It was the same thing about Naruto. Naruto was not as talented as everybody else, wasn't as smart as everybody else. He was kind of a dimwit, but through incredible ambition and will and work ethic, he was able to go from being one of the worst ninjas in the village to being the Hokage. That's the kind of story everybody likes. Everybody can get behind that story. But if at some point you turn him into the son of the Hokage, I'm like, okay, well, and I know we went through this before a couple of weeks ago, where he basically became a child of destiny, and I got real frustrated with it. Yeah, it's just not a good idea. If you're going to be a child of destiny, be that from the beginning. There's a certain way to be that from the beginning. Don't become that. You know, they did it with Yu Yu Hakusho as well, where Yusuke became a child of destiny because there was some kind of demon king or some shit like that in his family tree, and this was awakened later in his life or something like that. Oh, come on, get the fuck out of here. What was retconned? Before we move on, I want to give everybody their thoughts on on this Naruto thing. What was retconned? I gotta go to work in the morning, but I still want to do Battle of the SuperSons. I'm probably gonna cut out Inuyasha, but we're gonna do Battle of the SuperSons because I don't think I can wait until next week to talk about that. So what got retconned? Oh, also, you guys should be thinking about what new show do you want me to guys to go into. I was going to do a poll, but I need some options. Like, what are the options? You want something old, something new? What? I don't want anything I've already sat and watched. So no, like Gurren Lagann or Kill la Kill or Hunter x Hunter. I've already watched that shit, and I don't like none of those enough. Well, Gurren Lagann was cool, but I don't like the rest of them enough to sit back and watch them all over again. But think of something that we might all enjoy me analyzing. But hopefully it's not like 10,000 episodes. So not like One Piece or anything like that. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm probably not going to even try One Piece. This is too much content. And I actually want to be able to not turn my channel into a whole fucking One Piece channel. I watched 4 episodes of Ben 10 and came back to it since. But you're welcome to keep throwing it out there. All right, let's do this. I'm trying to get in bed before midnight. You said Bardock was a retcon. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure he was. You know, they did retcon Bardock, but it's canon now though, right? So we're stuck with what we're stuck with. All right, Battle of the SuperSons. The DC animated movie came out in 2022. The animation is the first thing that jumped out at me. It's cell shaded animation, which, to be quite honest, probably doesn't look very good to me. I've never been a big fan of cell shading on the animation tip. That sort of 3D rendering, it looks clean and nice sometimes. Other times it looks clunky and weird. I think we should have gone with traditional animation for this movie, but what do I know? I don't know anything. So the first part of the movie, what is this movie about? Well, it's about the SuperSons. It's about John Kent and Damian Wayne. But this is essentially because Damian Wayne already exists in the DC animated universe. This was essentially an origin story for Jonathan Kent, the son of Superman. So we get Superman's origin story, where, of course, Kal-El is sent to Earth. And then he's Superman, yada, 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 marries Lois Lane. He has a son. Son is John Kent, who has dimples for some odd reason. So what we get is preteen John, who thinks his parents are sort of boring people and they're boring reporters and this kind of thing. And he thinks his dad does cosplay because he doesn't know his dad is Superman. I like that they showed him and his dad doing like farm work because John is raised on a farm, just like Clark was. So they're milking cows and doing all kind of fun stuff together, just him and his dad. And he's kind of disappointed that his dad is never around. He thinks that his dad is never around because he works too much. Um, and he doesn't know his dad is Superman yet. So his dad doesn't come to his baseball games. He's kind of disappointed. He's very upset. So he's kind of like a down and out kid with no real friends or anything like that. It's a pretty typical origin story for a teen superhero. He feels, his parents aren't cool. Doesn't have any. He has some respect for them, but not much. Typical of like middle class children and stuff like that. Then John finds out about the powers, knows that his dad is Superman. This is after John runs away from home because he's frustrated with his father. So he runs away from home. His powers actually awaken in the field where he shoots out eye beams or whatever. He is then taught that his dad is Superman. And this is where we get the part that really kind of triggered a lot of people about this movie, where Superman talks about his real job is helping the world, standing up for truth, justice, and the American way. But his family, of course, is his top priority. A lot of people get triggered by the truth, justice, and American way concept. And before I finished Naruto, this was actually going to be what this was about, what this video was going to be about, was how many people were, quote unquote, turned off of this movie because Superman stands up for the truth, justice, and the American way. What a joke that is, right? But this is good Superman stuff here. He's a good father. He's teaching John to be responsible. He's disappointing John in so much that he can't always be there. But, now he's able to tell John the truth and say, hey, look, this is why I can't be there. And then they say they didn't tell him about his dad being Superman because he didn't know whether John was actually going to have any powers or not. So it was basically, I didn't want to get your hopes up thinking that you were the son of Superman or whatever, and that you would have powers too. But since now that you do, we can teach you about them because I can teach you how to control them and all that kind of stuff. And then they go to Gotham. Gotham stinks. Gotham sucks. They can smell Gotham a mile away. This is where they learn about Batman beating up thugs, like, beating up the Penguin and everything. And Superman, well, John thinks Batman is cool because, why would a kid think somebody other than his dad is cool? Damian Wayne is there. He's a complete total asshole. He's in the Batcave. Somehow he pushes John off a cliff thinking that John's trying to fly. But he doesn't know how to fly yet. So this is their first meeting, and Damian Wayne almost killed him. This is kind of their, of course, paralleling John and Damian and their relationship. What kind of relationship it's going to be. Then we find out that Damian is not well liked in the superhero community. He wants to be a member of the Teen Titans, but then he's told that he's too selfish and too cocky, and they don't really have any interest in letting him be in the Teen Titans. So you can tell that Damian at this point wants to have friends, but he doesn't quite know how to relate to other people. Right around this same time, we found out that he has a cow. And John also knows about cows because we saw that, John grew up on a farm. So he's trying to relate to Damian on that level that, hey, we were both kids with cows. And Damian's like, no, I don't milk my cow. Get away from my cow. All right. So then we learned that the real plot of the movie is that Starro it's an alien invasion. So Starro, it's an alien. It's controlling all of the humans and essentially ended crime by making everybody into Starro. John finds out about this. His superpowers of super strength wake up as he's fighting bullies at school. So at this point, John and Damian are kind of forced together to fight Starro. And that's kind of it. John learns his heritage through Jor-El, the computer, but somehow the computer can have current information, which I think it's part of Superman lore that the computer is basically an artificial intelligence where his father can talk back to him and like he can ask questions and that kind of stuff. So that's interesting. They did President Luthor in this joint, so you know, you know they mean it. Um, so there was some cursing in it, like there was some shits and some hard language in this joint. Um, but it was still somewhat for children, still somewhat. John, we find out that Starro is weak against fire, so John has heat vision, but he can't generate enough heat with his heat vision to hurt Starro. And they end up deciding to crash the Watchtower, which has been infested with Starro. So all of the Justice League and are infested with Starro. They decided that in the Earth's atmosphere, Starro would burn up, and so that's what they try to do. They crash the thing. Starro essentially dies, but they think he dies, but he ends up surviving in the end. Um, and then they threw him into the Earth's atmosphere again, and that's kind of, I think Superman did it. I think Superman and all those guys kind of threw him into the Earth's atmosphere, and he ended up winning in the end. At that point, Damian gets a phone call saying, "Hell yeah, you know, we rethought about it. We would love for you to be in the Teen Titans." And now Damian can turn them down. It's like, no, I got something better to do. And then we end the movie with Damian going to one of John's baseball games. And Damian doesn't have any friends. He never really had any friends. But now he's got a friend in Damian. So, well, I'm sorry, Damian has a friend in John. And everybody goes to John's baseball game because he was so disappointed his dad didn't go. So the movie was pretty short. It's like 2 hours. It was kind of generic, to be quite honest. Some people who are bigger fans of the SuperSons, they might enjoy this because it was kind of classic Superman, and his relationship with his son, and I didn't mind it. You know, I didn't mind it at all. But it's not something I think I would watch again. Not something I really cared that much about. You know, but it wasn't awful. But I didn't do a good review of it either. At least I don't think so. But when you look at the David Mamet questions, like what does your hero want? John wants a better relationship with his parents, with his father. Damian wants to be accepted by somebody, and they find that in each other. Two, who or what gets in their way? Well, clearly Damian's attitude is in his way. John, he has their secrets. Let's say the secret of Superman has always been in John's way of having a better relationship with his parents and better understanding his parents, and being able to relate to his parents a little bit better. And John also has a situation where nobody really can connect with him either. And him and Damian sort of connect on that tip that they're both parents are superheroes. But Damian has had a much darker upbringing. And he also had this huge chip on his shoulder. So you have that going for him. What happens if they don't get it? Well, and this is the crazy thing is it doesn't matter. Starro is just sort of a plot contrivance. You got to have somebody to fight because the story's not really even about Starro. Starro just wants to control the planet, control all of the people, and spread his spores throughout the universe. You know, that's not anything that's, you know, too dramatic that really turns the elements of the story too much. But what happens if, you know, John doesn't have a good relationship with his parents or whatever? He just kind of it becomes like more a little bit like Damian, I think. Because Damian doesn't have a great relationship with his father, doesn't have a great relationship with his parents either, and he doesn't have a great relationship with anybody else in superhero business. So he kind of gets, he's kind of alone, kind of like isolated. And John kind of felt the same way. Like he lives in the middle of nowhere with just his parents, and he doesn't really get along with his parents. So instead of, he's able to beat isolation by relating more to his parents. And the question of why now is the best question, because why now that the story is going on is because John's power is starting to awaken. You know, he's starting to get frustrated, and through his emotional outbursts, things are happening. You know, his powers are awakening, his body is changing, his mentality is changing. So Battle of the Super Sons is fun if you're really into the Super Sons as a group. You may, or as a pair, you would like it. I was just kind of on the fence about it, which probably took me so long to see it. But the animation is a bit of a turn off to me. I don't like Damian Wayne. I hate Damian Wayne. He fucking sucks. Not a huge fan of John Kent either, but I hate Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne fucking blows. He blows hard. Um, so I'm never really all that excited to see him. I felt like it was way too much Lois in this movie too, but that's just kind of how modern things are. Also, Lois was able to escape the Starro thing, but none of the other members of the Justice League were able to. Fucking Lois was able to get Starro out of her system, but Batman and Superman couldn't. I mean, it is what it is. But do you guys, as we get ready to wrap this up, do you guys have any suggestions for new anime to watch? I saw somebody say Ben 10. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through Ben 10, man. I watched 4 episodes of it. It's just so utterly boring and tasteless. I don't know. Somebody said Bleach. I kind of figured Bleach was going to happen. I want to give you guys some options. Maybe do a poll eventually. But I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to throw something out there on the live stream that I can add to the poll later. Because I think I'm going to do the poll in the morning. Because I want to be able to start watching whatever the show is probably on Tuesday. Here, Now, and When. Is that a show? Is that a show? It doesn't have to be shonen, by the way. It doesn't have to be shonen. So if you want to do like something CNN, you could do that too. Just no yaoi or anything like that. None of that shit. I'm not watching that shit. But and make sure that the show, if it's I've already seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, so I definitely want it to be something I've never seen before, that I'm going to do on the show, like something like Inuyasha, which I've seen most of this already. Inuyasha is a very simple story, and it tells very simple stories too. So it's Bleach is something I've never really even watched though. Here, Now, and Then. This is a book. Yeah, I'm looking. Oh, it's Here, Now, and When. I'm sorry, I put it in there. It still looks like it's a book. Here and Now and When. Or Here and Now When. Let's put that back. The JoJo's. Oh my goodness. Oh, I hate the animation of JoJo. I really do. Yeah, I'm putting it in Here, Now, and When, and I'm not saying anything about no anime, or I just see a book and a movie or something like that. Feel free to toss out things, man. I'll put JoJo on the board, but I'm pretty sure if it were to actually win, I probably would pull my hair out every day trying to watch that shit because I just don't like it. I don't like the animation. It looks like shit. And plus, I've never seen or heard anything about JoJo that might actually be interesting to me. It's just I never heard anything about JoJo that actually stands out as being something I actually want to see. So, but I'm willing to give it and put it on the board if you guys are willing to listen to it. You mean Now and Then, Here and Then. Now and Then, Here and Then. What is that? Here and There? Now and Then, Here and There. That's what it's called. Okay. Let's look at this. It says Now and Then, Here and There is a Japanese animation television series conceived. Yada, yada, yada. It's from 2009. Okay. The ADV release is out of print. Oh, wow. How many episodes is this? 13 episodes. Follows a young boy named Shuzu Matsutani who, in an attempt to save an unknown girl, is transported to another world which may be the Earth in the far future. The world is desolate and militarized. Survival is a daily struggle for displaced refugees, and water is a scarce commodity. So it's another one of these isekai joints where hero is transported to another universe where he has like powers and stuff, right? Okay, if I'll consider that. It's only 13 episodes, so I could probably kill that in a day or two. So I'll check that out. I'll put it on the board. I'm not gonna promise I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna say I'll put it on the board. Um, so I got so far. I remember I asked this question on I think Twitter a couple of days ago, and what I got was Code Geass, Black Clover, Bleach, and those are at least three that have been put up so far. Blue Exorcist, Blue Exorcist. I keep getting it mixed up with Blue Gender. Blue Gender I've seen already. But let's see, Blue Exorcist. Let's see what that is. Let's see, Blue Exorcist. Let's see, what is it about? It's a dark fantasy series. Okay, let's take a look at it. The story revolves around Rin Okimura, a teenager who discovers he and his twin brother Yukio are the sons of Satan, born from a human woman, and he is the inheritor of Satan's powers. When Satan kills their guardian, Rin enrolls at True Cross Academy to become an exorcist under Yukio's tutelage in order to defeat his father, Satan. 25 episodes plus an OVA. I'll throw that up on the. I'll throw it up on there and see if you guys actually want to are actually interested in that. What is Kikashi? What is this? This series about Yoshihime Suminura, Toki Yokimura, heirs to rival families of Kekai, barrier magic users, to rival family, who must defend their school from spirits drawn to the secret land. 30 or 35 volumes, 52 episodes. I don't know. Let's see. Keep throwing stuff out. I'll probably put it up on the board to see what people think. Because I never even heard of this Kakashi stuff. Kakaishi. I never even heard of that. Blue Exorcist, at least I've heard of it. I keep getting it mixed up with Blue Gender, but at least I've heard of it. I've heard of Blue Exorcist too. I think I just said that. What am I doing? I must be getting tired. I'm definitely tired now. All right, so I'm not saying anybody. Oh, JoJo. I've got to put JoJo now. Let me write that down. If I do, like, whatever it is, though, it has to be from the beginning. So I'm not going to be like, I can only watch JoJo 3 or whatever. If it's not good from the beginning, there's no point in me watching it. Because if I have to, that would be like me telling people, "Oh yeah, Dragon Ball is great. Just skip all the way to the Namek saga." I'm like, no, watch the shit. Or where's my ink pen? I don't have an ink pen. Not on me anyway. American comic books, American comics. You can do that too. Ben 10 is still an option. I'll put it on the board. I want to have at least 5 options for people who want me to talk about different things. American cartoons could be a good option too, if you guys want. I don't have nothing against American cartoons. I know this anime runs the world now, so I fully expect anime to be like the top thing suggested. Let me write down Kashi. Let's see, Blue Exorcist, and Ben 10. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options so far. Oh yeah, JoJo. Okay, so we got 7 options. Uh, Anybody else who's listening to this, interested in throwing something in the hat, you're probably going to get. You don't have much longer because I'm gonna put the list up soon. So don't come to me saying, "Oh yeah, I want to talk about this," and then you didn't get in here in time. Somebody's gonna probably leave something in the comment section saying, "Oh yeah, man, you should have listened. You should have watched X, Y, and Z," but you didn't come to the live stream on time and didn't talk about it. So I will put an other option where if enough people pick other, I'll pick something else. But um, I really don't want it to be anything that's still ongoing too. So like Jujutsu Kaisen, like I'm already watching that. Already watching My Hero Academia. Already watching Attack on Titan. Even though I don't think I've finished Attack on Titan yet, but I'm already sort of caught up on a lot of that stuff. All right, it's 11:30. 2 hours and 20 minutes. Not too bad. Thank you guys for your time. We'll talk to you guys later, man. Next week we'll probably have to. We'll be starting on something else. We won't be watching Naruto. I know some people want me to watch the movies, but I don't have time to watch these movies right now. But I may watch, like if somebody said that one of the movies is canon, I may watch that. But I don't think it'll change my opinion on the end of that show. But again, thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.